In the name of Allah, the most merciful, the especially merciful. I welcome you to this video where I'll be refuting among the most common claims and accusations made toward the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, mainly by the bigoted Christians, the bigots among the Christians, or the misinformed people, and bigots from other religions as well. And that is the claim and accusation, which is that the Prophet Muhammad is a pedophile. Astaghfirullah al-Azim, based on the fact that he married a 9-year-old. His wife Aishia, he married her officially at the age of 9, and he consummated the marriage at the age of 9. And he courted her father to request that he has the first attempt at courting when she was age 6. So he approached her father to ask if he can court her when she is old enough to decide, and he did that when she was 6. And of course at 6 she wouldn't be able to decide or accept or refuse because she was too young. By the age of 9 she was old enough to decide or to accept or to refuse. Now the strange thing about the Christian bigots who point the finger to Islam about Aisha's marriage is that the same issue exists within Christianity. So it's hypocritical that they point a finger towards Prophet Muhammad and towards Islam when the same exact issue exists within Christianity, within their own religion, and the main figures of the religion. So we know, based on historical reference, that Mary, the mother of Jesus, likely got married at the age between the ages of 12 to 14. She got married to Joeseph. And Joeseph, according to historians, was somewhere between 20 to 96 years old. Some historians say 20, and others say 96. So Mary got married to a 20-year-old, at least 20-year-old man at the age of 12 to 14. So it's hypocritical that they point the finger to Prophet Muhammad and call him a pedophile when the same exact issue exists within the marriage of Mary, the mother of Jesus. If you're going to say that Prophet Muhammad is a pedophile because he married a 9-year-old, a 12-year-old is also considered a child in the modern day. In most places, 12 years old to 14 is considered a child. And a 20-year-old man marrying them is usually considered a pedophile in most places. So how can you point the finger to Prophet Muhammad when the same exact issue exists within your own religion? And the bigots, the Christians, what they do in this case is what they say when we bring this point up. They say that the Bible doesn't talk about Mary's age, doesn't talk about how old Joseph was, doesn't mention it. So you can't really base your evidence on what historians say because it's not clearly written in the Bible. Well, here's the problem with that statement and that refutation. The problem is, we know nearly nothing about Mary from the Bible In addition to that, I can go as far as to say we know nearly nothing about Jesus, not even Joseph. Even Jesus himself, the main figure of Christianity, we barely know anything about him through the New Testament, through the Bible. I challenge any Christian to bring me at least 20 facts from the Bible about Jesus' life. We know more about Donald Trump than we know about Jesus. We can actually list 20 facts easily about his life, Donald Trump, but we can barely muster up 20 facts about Jesus from the New Testament. Besides the handful of miracles that he did, he turned a basket of bread to fish, or he cured a crippled guy, or he cured a blind person in one occasion, and he walked on water, and he turned water into wine. Those few handful of miracles. What else do we know about Jesus? What else do we know about Mary? The details of their life are not mentioned. So the refutation of Christians thinking they're so smart and that they outwitted us and they outdid us, actually it's you shoot yourself in the foot, because what you're showing us and what you show and what you prove is simply that we know nothing about Jesus or Mary from the New Testament. We know nearly nothing about them. We don't know the details of their life. We don't know what they like to do. We don't know how old they were when they got married. We don't know how he reacted to crime, how he punished people, except for a few incidents. The day-to-day lifestyle. If somebody's to be imitated and we were to act like him, we have to know the details of his life, how he acted on every little thing, so we can imitate it. But Jesus, we barely know anything about him. I challenge all you listeners and you Christians to list more than 20 facts. At the very least, 20 facts about Jesus. I dare you. And do it you need to bring evidence from the New Testament. Besides the handful of things that I already mentioned, him dying for sins and all that stuff, that's not facts. I mean, those are not... okay, those are biography facts. I'm talking about more details. Those are just like 6 facts. What else do we know? So the fact that we don't know her age because it's not stated. Of course it's not stated. Nothing is stated about her or her life. Nearly nothing is stated about Mary or even Jesus himself. Yeah, and the Bible you say is the holy book and your main source, but it barely talks about Jesus. You should take that as a reference and as a reason to have doubt about the Bible. Because if it's about Jesus and his life, it should be speaking consistently about him and what he did and his lifestyle and how he acted and what he liked and what he disliked. All the details. We know more about Donald Trump than we do Jesus. It's a humiliating thing. Humiliating. It's really humiliating, and just further proves our point when we say that the Bible has been tampered with. Because if it was really true, in its true form, we should have a lot more facts than we do. But when we read the Bible, what we see, and I dare you Christians to do this right now, go to any verse in the Bible. It starts off, "Dear brothers and sisters, this is Paul sending you my greetings from prison." Almost every chapter of the New Testament, especially the first 4 Gospels, the same thing again and again and again. And he repeated himself again and again and again and contradicted himself. And then Jesus coming in and talking very, very little. I mean, I don't know what percent Jesus talks in the Bible, but I could firmly say that it's most definitely less than 40%. And that's really going at Yani. I'm being very generous. 40%, and that's generous. Jesus talks less than 40% in the New Testament. So it's hypocritical that they point a finger toward the Prophet Muhammad when the same exact issue exists within their text. 9, 10, 11, 12, only 3 years difference. It's not that much of a gap. So if Aishia was considered a child because she was 9, likewise Mary was considered a child because she was 12. In the modern day, both would be considered child. And by the way, regarding the term pedophile means that he had relations with a pre-puberty girl. And Aisha had puberty. She stated it herself. So even by the definition of the word pedophile, it doesn't actually apply. But the way the modern world sees it today is not just simply pre-puberty. They consider anyone who's basically under the age 18 marrying an adult male, like 13 and under, 14, 15, 16. Okay, I mean, if it was legal in the state, they may not call that pedophile in the modern day, but they would consider it not normal. It's odd. But under 13, anything under 13, 14, 13, especially under 13, they consider anyone who marries such a person, even if it's legal, they usually consider that still, and they see it as a pedophile. So that means that Joseph, the husband of Jesus, the stepfather of Jesus, would be considered a pedophile. And you would be saying that Mary got married to by a pedophile. So how can you point the finger at Islam when the same issue exists within your text or within your religion? It's very strange. And I debated a Christian once about this topic, and he was going in every direction to try to disprove and to try to turn the issue towards Islam and to try to make him come out innocent, like as if the issue isn't the exact same issue existing within Christianity. And he said, basically, that the Bible doesn't say that. And you don't have any sources from the Bible that says that. And that Mary was 13 or 14 and Joseph was 20, so therefore it's okay. Yeah, in terms of modern day standards, that would still be considered pedophile. So that's the first point. So why do they have no issue with Mary marrying a 20-year-old when she was 13 or 14, 12 to 14? But with regard to Aisha, who was only 3 years younger than her, that's a problem. What they say is Mary was likely grown and adult, and she had developed, and that was the age, the standard age at the time. Well, that's the exact same answer for Aisha. You're stupid hypocrites. That's hypocrisy. That's double standards. It's only 3 years different, you hypocrites. So just like Mary, the mother of Jesus, was a grown adult, and that was the custom and standard, and she was fully grown and developed, likewise with Aisha, the same thing. And then that guy, when I was debating, he was saying that Aisha or Mary got married around 13 or 14 to a 20-year-old, so therefore it's okay. The point is, and she wasn't 9. Yeah, she wasn't 9, but it's only 3 or 4 years different. So I mean, if you're gonna say the Prophet Muhammad was a pedophile because he married 9, a 20-year-old marrying a 13 or 12-year-old is still considered a pedophile. And also, the historians don't say Joseph was 20. The age around that time for males was around, average was mid-20s. So 25-year-old marrying a 12-year-old would still be considered a pedophile. So there's a serious problem with double standards. That's the first point. The second point is the Old Testament specifically encourages raping girls. And I'll be making a video in detail reading the verses about this. Verses that commands Moses, his army, to take girls as war slaves and to rape them. And leave all the little girls, the pre-puberty girls, for yourselves. As for the girls who have slept with a man, kill them. This is in the Old Testament. The Christians, when you bring up this verse, they say, well, that's the Old Testament. Jesus canceled the Old Testament. It no longer applies. Here's the problem. First of all, the Old Testament was revealed by God. Revealed by God. Therefore, it was revealed by Jesus, according to Christians. Why? Because they say that Jesus is God. So if Jesus is God, that means Jesus revealed the Old Testament laws. First point. Second point, Jesus in the New Testament said, not so much as a stroke of the pen of the law of former prophets will be cancelled by any means until heaven and earth pass away. In other words, the Old Testament laws are not cancelled. And then the refutation of Christians saying, well, Jesus never applied the law. Well, here's the thing again. We don't know if he ever applied it because we barely know anything about him from the New Testament. There's barely any information about him. So we can't be sure that he didn't apply it. A few incidents of him not applying it, well, we can't conclude that he never applied it because there's barely any information about Jesus through the New Testament. That's a big problem. And if you don't believe me, then I challenge you to bring me at least 20 facts about Jesus' life. At least 20 facts from the New Testament. Besides the handful of miracles that he did and him dying for sins. Which would be like 6 facts or 7. And let's say that the Old Testament laws was cancelled. Well, still, the fact remains that it was revealed by God, and Jesus is God. Therefore, Jesus revealed the Old Testament laws, and he approved of taking pre-puberty. According to Christian, I'm saying it according to the Bible. That means that Jesus approved of it, because you say Jesus is God. Therefore, Jesus, if he's God, he approved of those laws. When I was debating this Christian, this point, he said those laws were not revealed by Jesus, it was revealed by Moses, as if God gave Moses the authority to make up laws independently on his own. Well, there's a verse in the Old Testament that specifically says these verses and these laws have been revealed by God to Moses. Specifically says it. So if you're going to claim that Moses made these laws independently on his own and God gave him the authority, the independent authority to make up laws, then you need to bring the evidence. Making claims without evidence is worthless, and I can bring evidence and proof. And there's a verse, as I said, that says these verses and these laws are revealed by God, and sent by God to Moses. And we know for a fact that prophets do not make up laws independently. Prophets, the definition of prophet is someone who receives divine inspiration, divine message, divine laws from God to people, to give and to reveal to people, to command people, as like a middleman, as a messenger, as a spokesman of God. God telling him to say this and to do that and to reveal these verses and to reveal these laws, and he is just a messenger, middleman. He just handing over the message. Doesn't have any authority to make up laws. And let's even say, for the sake of the argument, that he did have the authority. God gave him the authority, which he didn't. There's no proof that he did. If he did, well, that means still God approved of the laws, because he didn't condemn it. Then when I was debating this point with the Christian bigot, he said God did condemn Moses on some things, therefore he didn't approve. Well, he didn't condemn it on this very thing, and this very point of him taking children as slaves, not just children, pre-puberty, remember. Girls specifically says the word in Hebrew means pre-puberty girls. In the English it says girls, or young girls. It doesn't say pre-puberty, but in the Hebrew the word means pre-puberty. So, very hypocritical of Christians to point the finger towards the Prophet Muhammad when they have the same exact issue within their own religion. Lastly, I'll conclude with this poem that I made regarding this issue. It says that I wrote, they claim Prophet Muhammad married a child. Now they want to put Islam to trial. I say, how old was Mary when she bared her first child? She was 12 towards 14. as your sources say. So according to you, is that okay? If she was 12, if she had a child and if she had a child and she was clearly an adult, so you should stop there and halt and never make such a claim. If you do so, you're clearly insane, because our sources are nearly the same. As for atheists who make this claim, you say you're descendants of apes, or you say you're descendants to a common ancestor to apes. So climb up a tree and marry an ape, and don't try to escape. Prophet Muhammad was the best of man. He was the most generous of his clan. His name is mentioned in the Song of Sulaiman. Islam is a religion that will never die, no matter how hard you try. So how long will you lie? Prophet Muhammad was the best of man. If you needed help, he would reach out his hand. If you point a finger to us, then you should point it at you, because the difference between our religion and yours is the difference between these two.